Fat loss warriors. If you're a busy guy midlife trying to lose fat, you need to listen up. Today, I'm going to give you what I call the fighter's combination for fat loss. Two techniques that work together. When you combine them correctly, you can permanently lose fat and even get ripped in the process. Hey, I'm Dan, Coach Dan. Who am I? Just a dude who struggled with my weight for years. And honestly, I shouldn't have. My career was in fitness. I was a professional soldier. I'm a retired military officer. My education, health and human performance, exercise science. I have a bachelor of science in health. And the Army literally paid me to stay in shape. My bosses literally took me on 5-mile runs. My bosses literally had me show them the training schedule where PT was the first thing we did every day and it was a priority. They always emphasized fitness. But I still struggled. I struggled my whole career with my weight. And so if you're watching this and you're frustrated because nothing seems to work, I get it. If you'd like some help figuring this out with the right strategy for you personally, you can actually book a call with me. The link's in the description. And you'd be surprised. I mean, even though I had an education in it, even though my bosses, made it a requirement of my job to be fit, I struggled and yo-yo cycled and put more and more weight on. But I actually figured out what's going on. And if you follow my fat loss combination, it's dovetailed right into that. All right, so let's get into it. All right, like this or not, you absolutely need these two things. You need at least one of the two things. But the almost easy part is they work best together. First strategy, low carb. And you think you understand low carb, but flatly, you have got to get the sugar out of your diet, and you're mistaken what sugar really is. People try to lawyer their way out of this. They think to themselves, oh, it's the local pasteurized honey. That's fine. No, that's nothing but pure carbs, pure sugar. Honey is pure sugar. Smoothies. Oh, they got fiber in it. It's fruit. It's healthy. Fruit juice. Fruit juice is honestly nothing more than non-carbonated soda. Maybe without some of the other bull crap that they put in soda, but fruit juice is basically soda with carbonation. Your body sees it the same. And then healthy snacks, that bran muffin. Yeah, just because they've been telling you for years that that's good for you, that still like spikes your blood sugar. It's pure carbs, and with some fat in it. But high carbs and fat are not a good combination. And a lot of those things have there's different kinds of fats. And so I'll save that for another video, but you want to get healthy fats. So if you want your diet to become almost easy, you need to stop counting calories. Your body doesn't know what a calorie is. Your body knows what energy is, it knows what information is, and then your hormones in your body react to that and then tell your body what to do with that fuel energy. And so that may sound complicated, but it's really not. But what does complicate it is counting calories when it's a literal measure of energy. It's just a very flawed one when it comes to the human body and diet and exercise. It's actually terrible. It's a terrible metric to use that's just going to leave you frustrated if you're not already. So what I recommend you do, the only thing I count is carbohydrates, total carbohydrates. And so it's one metric to count. Doesn't matter how many calories I get. I just try to keep my carbohydrates very low. And then it depends on your goals. For me, I keep them extremely low and I feel amazing. But someone who's, you don't even have to be ketogenic. You could get your carbs underneath 100 grams a day. and that'd be low for a lot of people. So carbohydrates combined with your genetics and your body's insulin response to those carbohydrates and sugar, that's actually what determines how much fat you store. And carbs show up everywhere. Now, here's the catch. If you go too fast with your carbohydrates, it's not going to feel easy at all. It's going to feel very hard. Your cells have to relearn how to burn fat and proteins primarily as their fuel source. They're used to this really quick, simple sugar or carbs as their fuel. And literally, the organelles that consume energy are different, and they used to be structured where they mostly did proteins and fats, and the default has always been sugar because it's so rare in nature. So your cells have to relearn how to burn the fat and then produce ketones and convert that fat energy into energy your body utilizes. And most modern diets, especially Western diets, are just doing a constant drip of carbohydrates and sugar. And again, historically, that's just not the case. That's not how humans lived. And so if you get rid of, there's only 3 macronutrients. And so if you get rid of carbs and sugar, that leaves protein and fat. These 2 nutrients protect your muscle, preserve muscle loss, and keep you full. Personally, I eat until I am comfortably stuffed. I just had some pork rind nachos for dinner. Protein and fat give your body everything it needs. Now, before we keep going, if you want more videos that make fat loss seem practical and almost easy with real advice for real men like you, go ahead and subscribe. Target that subscribe channel and take it out. And I post content specifically for men like you trying to get lean, trying to keep their muscle, trying to live right, and actually do something that works. All right, let's talk about the pitfalls of carbs. First, just going too fast. Your body adapts quickly, but if you see how I eat and try to copy it overnight, you'll probably fail because, again, I'm really low carb. And I remember learning this the hard way. Like I learned all this stuff. I went after my education, after being in flight school, after my first tour, I went back down to Mother Rucker and I'm in Lower Alabama and I'm fat. You may have seen some of the pictures. And I go in there and they put me on this protocol, which gave me little bite sizes of fuel, little food, little nibbles, like 6 meals a day, 6, 7 small meals a day, just to stave off the hunger beast. And I did lose some weight, like all this stuff. I lost weight every time I tried something first. And I'm like me and like probably like you, I tried it really intensely. I lost weight. Then I plateaued. And then for this in particular, they put me on a new protocol. They moved me to something basically like an Atkins style protocol. And I thought, oh, this is amazing. And they're like, they didn't really limit me on how much I could eat. I'm like, really? They called it something else, not Atkins, but I tried it. And about 48 hours in, I crashed hard. Well, why is that? Well, my cells weren't used to just having proteins and fats for fuel. So my body wasn't being fueled. It couldn't absorb the fuel. It couldn't convert the fuel. And I remember crashing hard in like 48 hours. The first 36 hours was great. But then all of a sudden my body, ran out of my liver glycogen. It ran out of my muscle glycogen. I wasn't taking in any carbohydrates and it didn't know how to convert the energy into ketones. And it wasn't ready. So ultimately, that's what you got to do. What's the craziest thing that you did to pull the weight off, ultimately to have it not work? Because that's probably why you're watching this. You want to actually know something that will make your fat loss work and make you actually show your muscle. For me, I did a ton of crazy things. The most extreme was probably this thing called HCG. And I don't even want to get into how they got this hormone and they came in these drops, and you got on the mail, and I'd be put underneath your tongue, but you were only allowed like 500 calories a day. And I think a lot of it was placebo effect, because it was just like my body got kind of used to that 500 calories a day. And I would take those drops, and holy cow, I think in 45 days, I lost, it was either 44 or 46 pounds rapidly. And honestly, I was fat after, putting the weight back on from MRC and the other diets. And this was a constant thing. So I pull this off, and I think it was 44, 46 pounds in 45 days, and just get the pictures, buy some new clothes, only to like 3 months later, just as I'm preparing to get ready for my next physical training cycle, and where they weigh you in the military, that I'm like 15 pounds higher than what I started. That's kind of the craziest diet that I did. Another problem with low carb is bad breath. Okay, so here's what's going on. This is back to the cellular level again. When your body starts producing ketones, because you're not giving it any carbs, basically it's learning to use them a little bit, but at first it's producing way more ketones because it has this fuel, and it can't use it. It doesn't know how to absorb it. Your body isn't efficient at using them. People are going to think you're weird. There's tons of social pressure when it comes to food. It's not just physiological. It's not just psychological. It's social, cultural stuff. 85% of adults, 85% is in the not weird category. That's normal. They're insulin resistance or dealing with some sort of metabolic disease, blood pressure, prediabetes, diabetes, some form of insulin resistance. It means like 15% of people are healthy. So they're the weird ones. So you want to be one of the weird ones. It's just how it is. All right, let's move to the second part of the fighter's combination, fasting. Fasting simply means not eating for a period of time. Could be a short period of time, could be days. And that's it. No special foods, no expensive supplements, just not eating. Why fasting? Well, for the same reasons as you go low carb. Because you're trying to get the sugar out of your diet. It removes quick sugar as a fuel source. Your body then is required to start burning fat, your muscle glycogen, your liver glycogen. So surprisingly, many people feel more energy, not less. Digestion is very energy expensive. And another huge advantage is you can't lawyer your way out of it. With keto, people try to sneak in legal foods. This qualifies as keto, and then it's super sweet, so it causes cravings, but then it's actually way more grams of sugars than you anticipated, because the packaging, they're lying to you in a lot of things to try to get you to eat it. So fasting, that's going to remove that loophole, at least for that short period of time. And there's a famous Canadian nephrologist who wrote the book, The Obesity Code, Dr. Jason Fung. He's the author. He's a huge advocate of fasting. And he really understands what's going on there. And he's got some cases of people having diabetes for like 20 years, and in a very short period of time, through fasting, getting them to reverse their diabetes. Fasting, another benefit, it increases growth hormone. Growth hormone helps release fat and preserve muscle, and encourages fat to be used as fuel. But here's the magic. Combine low carb and fasting. Low carb is your left jab, and fasting is your right hook. Start with the low carb. It stabilizes hunger. Eventually something interesting happens. You feel empty but not hungry. That's when fasting starts happening naturally. You just all of a sudden catch yourself fasting. That doesn't happen when you're addicted and on the carb cycle. All of a sudden you're busy. You're like, oh, I skipped a meal. And you suddenly realize you weren't even thinking about food. And you start with low carbing. That's when your metabolism is adapting. And then you can start integrating some fasting naturally. If you know someone who keeps struggling with fat loss, even though they're working hard, share it with them. Most people are trying to solve a metabolic problem with willpower and through over exercising mostly, and that rarely works. When I finally figured this out, I lost fat rapidly. I maintained my muscle, really, and even though I don't work out very much, I don't. Exercise, is it important? You can almost do this without exercise. I really hesitate to say that because I think there's a lot of benefits to exercise, but if you're trying to lose fat, where do you want to put your effort? You want to put your willpower and effort into the thing that barely moves the needle, 5% at max, I think it's less. Or do you want to put your willpower and energy into something that actually moves the needle? And the answer is pretty obvious. You want to focus on the thing that works the needle, that moves the needle, correction. And so I walk my dogs a lot. I'm active. My wife has me doing lots of stuff out in the yard, and I do go to a gym about an hour and a half a week when I can. But nutrition and metabolic health do the heavy lifting. And if you want fat loss to become almost easy, use your fighter's combination, your left jab, low carb, fasting, your right hook. You can win a fight with either one of those, but it's way easier both. They're simple, they're sustainable. This is a powerful technique, and hopefully you understood some of the mechanisms behind that. If you want a strategy that actually works with your lifestyle, you can book a call with me. The link is in the description. So good luck, fat loss warriors, and I'll see you in the next video. I ain't going nowhere.